Welcome back, everyone, to episode 9 of Beer League Rebound. Really hope you all enjoyed last week's interview with Gary Hayden and how I kind of just dedicated that episode towards the whole WHL experience and everything like that. I felt like it was very cool and unique, and a lot of you agreed with me on that. So I'm really glad to hear that. It was awesome having him on, and I look forward to having him on again, definitely in the future, once he gets playing some hockey again, and we get through some of these other interviews. So, with that, though, I have another interview for today's episode. We're going back into junior hockey, Heritage Junior Hockey League. One of the guests I had on the show before, Josh Smith, he played in that league his first year, Junior B. But this time it's different because we got our first goalie interview. Yes, very excited about that. As many of you know, I'm also a goaltender as well. So finally having a goalie come on to the show, you're gonna hear how the guest we have is Brady Newton. You're gonna hear how we the goalie convo just kind of lingered in between each other and how we were able to really bond over getting scored lots apparently, but. Yeah, you all enjoy Brady's interview. Yeah, it was great having him on. He's a great guy. Nothing but good things to say about him. He took such a unique route with junior hockey, and he had to face a lot of crap. I want to say by crap I mean shots throughout his past 2 years of junior hockey. But he always just had a good head on his shoulder, and he's a real good guy. So look forward to that. I'll play that episode halfway through this. But, folks, I've been talking about this since I started this podcast, and I started this podcast because of this whole COVID stuff. I just finally got the courage to do it. And if lots of you remember, I talked about that there will be hockey. Now, nothing is set in stone yet. There's been nothing but crazy stories these past couple of months. Saskatoon being the place. Edmonton getting involved. Toronto, BC, like Vancouver. All these places across Canada. Going to the States. It's... What I want to say is we're gaining that traction that we've been talking about for these past couple of months now. It's going to happen. I'm very confident now. I know it's going to happen. They made a lot of progress just this past weekend. I'm glad I held off from recording this. I record this on Monday night and I upload these on Wednesday. But I usually want to record on a weekend just because of work schedule and stuff like that. Just super busy. But I'm glad I held off because over the weekend, the NHL and the NHLPA have gained a lot of traction. And by a lot of traction, I mean by going with a 24 team playoff with these hub cities. Now, reason why there's been the NHL really wants to have 8 to 9 hub cities if they're able to. So it sounds like there's a whole lot more added to this list now that I personally haven't seen. What other places? I know Vegas and Minnesota was getting tossed around, but there's a problem right now with Canada might not be hub cities anymore because of the Canadian dollar situation. It might interfere with the conversion rate for American dollars and everything else. I don't know if the NHL's wanting to take that route, but if they have to, they will. And there's also the problem of getting players over, cross internationally, and do they have to do the whole 14 days or do they not? And is there enough tests? And we know all that stuff. But the exciting stuff is something's gonna happen. I want to say by next week I'll be talking about it because wow, that would be exciting. I'm already excited. If you can't tell how excited I am talking to this microphone right now, I'm excited. It's like a light at the end of the tunnel. We might be watching some hockey here. They might be able to accommodate the family, which is great. I've heard a lot of good things coming of it. There's still a lot of work to be figured out. I don't expect hockey till July, if I'm being honest, just for players to get back in, shape, routine, everything else. But we can start looking forward to that, in my opinion. I truthfully want to say that. 24 teams. Now, right here, I'm just going to pull it up on my phone. So I saw a rough draft of how this would all look. My friend mentioned me today on Instagram on his comment about it, and it's crazy. So basically, since where everything kind of lines up, we'll talk Western Conference first. But basically, it looks like St. Louis, Dallas, Vegas, and Colorado would all get the bye past like the first round. Just how they're trying to format this, or just how this bracket's working. I'll insert it on. If you're watching the video, I'll insert it in there so you guys can see what I'm looking at. But so that's what it looks like. But it sounds like for the first round, they want to have a Calgary, Winnipeg, Edmonton and Chicago, Vancouver and the Coyotes, and Nashville against Minnesota. And then from there, progress into, like whoever wins out, like Calgary and Winnipeg would go against St. Louis and yada yada. Like I said, I will post this all just so it's because this isn't like an official one. This is just a mock-up one right now, but it's exciting to talk about. So for the East side, we got Columbus and the Islanders, and then Pittsburgh and Montreal, New York Rangers against Toronto, Florida against Carolina, and then the teams at the bye were Washington, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, and Boston. Now, this is really exciting because Toronto might make it past the first round, so kudos to them. We'll see how that all works out for them. But that's really, really big news for Toronto fans, not having to go against Boston. If they make it on down, they will have to go against Boston later in the picture, basing off this bracket. Like I said, this could all be totally different. Don't take my exact word for it, but this is just what I've been seeing roughly going around right now. I can't stress that enough. And I love the idea of having a Calgary Winnipeg. I think that'd be a really good series. And same with the whole I like Florida against Carolina. That'd be an awesome series. Two of those teams, going at it. And I'm kind of excited for this 24 team. It's going to be totally different. I know not everyone's for it and they want to stick to the traditional way, but here's some of the positives of this. We get rid of games that don't matter. We don't need Detroit playing, Buffalo playing. None of those teams need to be playing. Those games can be thrown out, and those guys can just get into training for next season whenever that may start. But the whole idea of 24, I personally think that's a best case scenario. You're able to accommodate all the teams that are in that bubble that had the chance of making playoffs. And I know Montreal was like 10 points out, but you're still able to accommodate all that because we don't know what could have happened during that time. I'm not saying they would have, but you never know. So don't come at me with that. I'm just saying it very well could have happened. So there you go, Montreal fans. But it's looking good. We had so UFC happened. That was a really big, I think push for the sports. They did really well with that, I find, and it was very entertaining to watch the highlights. I didn't get the pay-per-view or anything like that, and also in Germany, their major soccer league just opened up as well. So all these other places are starting to do it. So I imagine everyone is kind of talking to each other in a way, or seeing what others are doing to prepare for it. Now I've heard there's some crazy stuff coming out where Gary Bettman's saying there's like the forwards have to like social distance at the face-off dot, and there's no fighting and no scrums and stuff like that. And that's where I hope that stuff does not happen. If they have to wear a full face shield, I'm okay with that. But the problem is if you're trying to take away the fighting aspect or like the scrums and stuff like that, I just don't see it working. It's playoff hockey. You want that intensity. You want that to happen. And if we're taking that away, then I just don't see it being as enjoyable. That's my own take, and that's a lot of hockey fans' takes on it. Obviously, fighting is not like a big part of the game anymore. It's so technical and everything else. But I mean, with playoffs, emotions run hot. These guys haven't been on the ice and haven't played a game in 2 months. So I could just imagine they're very antsy and ready to go. So we have it's going to be. I'm excited for the rest of this week. So I'll talk about it after Brady's interview because I want to kind of. I had these points to mention, then I have some other ones to mention afterwards. But So I'm going to get it ready to send it over to Brady's interview. Like I said, great interview, Brady. Heritage Junior Hockey League. Great guy. Puts in lots of work for his junior B team, and it sounds like he will be making it towards the seniors league if COVID allows, everyone to go back. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 9 of Beer League Rebound. We got another exciting interview coming up for everyone. We're going to go back to the jungle of junior hockey. We have a great interview lined up today, and we have our first goalie interview, which I'm truly excited about. It's about time we get the goalies in the map of this podcast and start talking about it, so it's going to be exciting. We got Brady Newton joining us. Brady has played 17 years in the Calgary area. Goalie, he's been a goalie the whole time. When he's not getting 50-plus shots a game, he's also hitting the books at the University of Lethbridge, where he's working on his education and kinesiology. He's completed 4 out of the 5 years for that. Brady has probably had the sickest flow and mustache combo around when it comes to hockey. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Brady to the Beer League Rebound podcast.
Hey, Bryce, thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be the first goalie.
I'm honored that you're able to come on because anyone who doesn't know Brady, he also probably has one of the sickest setups of pads around right now.
Well, I mean, when you're playing on the worst team in the league, you have to look the best. So it was a compromise.
Exactly. It's all about looking the best, right? Like at the end of the day, when people are looking at you, they're like, "Oh, he looks sick." Like you could let in 20 goals, but you look good letting in 20 goals.
Oh, when I take the puck out of the net, like they're like think I suck, but then they see the pads and they just forget it even went in.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
exactly. So what have you been up to? How's your whole quarantine and everything else going on for you lately?
I've just been hanging out, man. I'm honestly getting so bored. But I've been playing way too much Call of Duty. Like I'm just destroying my vision. Occasional workouts here and there, just trying to stay active. I love going on walks. So I'm really hoping this nice weather stays around because it's so much better to be quarantined when it's warm out and you can enjoy the weather than opposed to when it's just horrible. So I'm bored, but not too much. How have you been doing? What have you been getting up to?
Well, I just started back at work this week, so I have that to look forward to. I get to cut some grass this summer and make the city look nice. So that'll be fun again.
Yeah, it'll keep you busy.
Exactly. I'm really usually during the summers, these times I'd be working, but also playing a shit ton of hockey, beer league games and everything else. So I've been also doing the same as you, going for walks. I also bought a bike and going on bike rides, and it's funny how I'm trying all these different things I haven't done in years because all I've done is played hockey every summer and winter.
Oh, absolutely. It's killing me not playing hockey, but I was learning French at one point. It's like this whole new world has opened
up. That's so funny, actually. Yeah, because it's honestly, you take hockey away from people like us, right? Where you're you feel lost at some point. You're like, what do I do? What do I keep up with?
Yeah, I took the glove out the other day just to throw the ball in the air. Just the dumbest thing, but my hand just felt so bad after.
Oh, I when I was I watched My Gear as well because all the time in the world to do it, and I was doing the same stuff as well, just fucking around with it pretty much because
exactly,
nothing else to do.
Yeah, and I just miss putting on the gear. It's just so sad.
Yeah, I never thought I'd miss doing that. I knew I'd miss it, but I didn't think it ever happened, so it never crossed my mind. Like the last time I went on the ice was beginning of March, mid-March actually. I got one lucky ice time in before all this. It was just a random ice time, and I wasn't gonna take it, but I was like, I want to go on the ice. Why not?
Yeah.
And thank God I did because
yeah, because now it's horrible.
Yeah, now I'm like, I'm ready to drive. like the States, they have their arenas open right now, and I'm just so
Yeah.
jealous. Like some parts do.
Yeah, we might need to take a road trip pretty soon here. I don't
Yeah,
know.
the border opens up, just road trip just
Yeah.
for some ice.
Sneak over with our goalie gear.
Yeah, I wonder if
No,
border. I wonder if border control would let us in.
Yeah. I was actually doing a practicum before this all went down. So I was like full time, like being a student teacher. And I was so excited because the senior men's team called me and asked if I wanted to be an emergency backup for provincials. So I was like, oh, I'll get something, even watch hockey. So excited. And then nope, cancels. Done. It sucks.
Was that with, which team was that with?
So I was with the Lethbridge Lightning.
In Ranchland, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been invited out to that league a couple times there, but yeah. I'm a little intimidated at when I see the scores at times for like, because I of course got invited by like the lower teams that are just hunting for any type of goalies, right? So
it's quite the league. Like it seems like it's such a mix of talent. Like there's like 3 teams that are like at the top, and then 3 teams that are like way below. And it's I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to play in that kind of league because like I feel like it'd be great like playing against those top teams, but I don't know how much fun it would be playing against some lower end teams. But
yeah, and it like personally, like I miss like the competitiveness because like I just like play beer league now, right? But I just remember my days of like just playing on like those low end teams and just like it's just not fun getting blasted like
with that many. That was the last 2 years of
my life. Yeah, so that's another thing. So you played for the Lomond Lakers. They just joined the Heritage League not too long ago, right?
Yeah, so 2 years ago was the first year actually they were in it. And so I tried the first 2 years of uni. I just did intramurals because like I was so scared of university and it's so expensive. Like I don't want to like screw it up. So I was like, definitely. I don't want to play 2 series of hockey. But then I once a week at 11:30 at night like wasn't cutting it for me. So I that year 2 years ago I tried out for Coaldale actually. So Coaldale's like one of the best teams in the league. And then unfortunately, the coach told me that I played better than one of the guys, but because he was younger, they were going to take him. Oh. So I was like, oh, that's a pretty tough situation. But then the next day, Lomond was calling me up and asked me to come try out, and the rest is history.
Yeah, so you spent 2 years there, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, besides when the Three Hills Thrashers were in the league, you probably faced like the most amount of shots out of any other team, if I'm not mistaken. Or pretty close. Like pretty close. It has to be.
Yeah, there was. I can't really remember the final stats because I haven't looked for a while, but I know that my first year, I think there was one guy who had more shots than me, and I think he had 100 more shots, but he played like 7 more games than me.
Oh my God.
So it was tough. And this last year, so my last year, junior, the other goalie got hurt, so I finished off the year. I think I played the last like 10 games or so, and I think every single one of those games, I think the lowest amount of shots I got was 50.
Oh my God.
And it was just like, I think the highest was 79. Like it was just exhausting.
Oh, like, and see, games like that, they're either fun or they suck. Because if you're on a roll and you're stopping, like, a good majority of that, like, you feel like you're on top of the world. But if you're, like, getting slaughtered.
Yeah, you feel like you're on the bottom of the
world. Oh, exactly.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, with the team, like, it was, like, such a great group of guys. Like, I absolutely loved it. But it was just so hard, and I do feel like I was performing, like, personally, like, pretty well. But, like, realistically, like, I do not care about that at all. Like, I want the teams to succeed. So, like, it was just, those games were tough where it was, they'd have tons of shots against, and we'd end up losing by, like, 2, and those ones are almost harder than the losses by, like, 7.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one, actually, yeah. Mm-hmm. Because, you compete that whole time, and just, like you said, you hit literally double the amount of shots than the other goalie. Just to fall like that, that's a rough go.
Yeah, we played Coaldale one of our last few games of the year, and I always love playing against Coaldale because like they cut me, so it's like I always just love showing up and like trying to play my best and kind of show them what they're missing, you know. And we played them, and it was tied 1-1 going into the third, and I think the shots were like 50 to like I don't know, like 9 or something, like some ridiculous thing.
Oh.
And then we ended up losing 3-1, and it was just heartbreaking.
Oh no!
But well, that's just how it goes.
Well, kudos on to you guys at least, because like the Three Hill Thrashers, they got pummeled for the last couple of years, and just for listeners, they actually had to take a step away this year as a whole organization, so they could change some things because the last couple of years, that team, their goalies were facing combined together 100 shots a game. Like they couldn't enter it into the website properly because it's usually not 100 shots a game, and it was a whole like crazy story. That's why like junior hockey, like even junior B, it's just it's fun to follow because like you have some really really talented guys like who like go like Airdrie has had a really good team and like Red Deer and all that, and then you have like poor Three Hills where they're just they're and then Lomond as well, just trying to scrape by.
Yeah, I think because I remember Three Hills last year lost to Airdrie like 29-1.
Yeah, it was like they broke a record or something like that.
Yeah, and like I remember we played them like a couple of weeks after like Airdrie, and I was so scared. And it was all of my friends that I played with growing up, like playing throughout like Pee Wee and Bantam and everything, and then it's just like to see them all together. It was just horrifying.
You're like, I'm happy to see you guys, but at the same time, I wish I wasn't seeing you guys.
100%. Absolutely.
So we'll dive into a little when you were like, so what kind of got you inspired into start playing hockey and go on this crazy journey of playing?
So, I mean, I think it's just my dad, really. My dad, he never really played, like he played growing up, but he was never like big into it. But he loved watching it. So he's always watching the games, always watching the Flames games. And I first started to like Roman Turek a lot, actually. No idea why. Like, yeah. He wasn't even that good. But I liked him a lot. And then as soon as Kipper came, like, that was just like, he was like the god, like,
oh, yeah.
Like I think you ask anyone as a goalie around our age, it's probably because of Kippersoft.
Oh,
because like he was so much fun to watch, and like I feel like my whole style is like pretty much just him, just because I've watched him so much, right? So just kind of going through that and just watching games like over and over, playing mini sticks, like I loved the gear, I loved making those big saves, and that's kind of like what all made me fall in love with goalie, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that. So the first goalie, so Kipper was a big one, Fleury, but it's kind of funny. My favorite goalie growing up, and to this day, some people still don't get why, because I wasn't really in that day and age when he was playing, but Curtis Joseph was like,
Cujo, yeah.
I was a huge Cujo fan. And when he got to go like be the backup for Calgary, we got tickets, and I was just so excited to see him do a warm up. I was like, that's all I needed. Like, I was like, it was so good. But it's funny how, like definitely Kippersoft was like a big inspiration for me, just because like he's such a hybrid style goalie, like crazy reflexes. Like I think Jonathan Quick, he reminds me a lot of like Kippersoft and all that. It sucks that he struggles now, but he was like another big like hybrid. Like it's crazy. I don't know how these goalie coaches are able to work with these guys, because they're like in the splits of their arms like above their head and doing the craziest stuff instead of playing such a technical game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like like I said, like my style's like so much like Kippersoft's, but like you said, like it's not like super technical. It's so much like athleticism, and I think it's so important because like I just feel like you can see how much they don't want to get scored on. Like they will literally like bend over backwards to make a save, and I feel like that's like kind of one of the things that I try to incorporate into my game, because like when you teach yourself to not want to be scored on so much, like those are the things you'll do. You'll do the splits with your arm back and you're in a pretzel, but it's like as long as the puck doesn't go in.
Oh, I agree 100%. And I'm still the same way even in beer league. Like I'll be jumping across the net, like just landing on my head, and my team's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "We're still in this."
Yeah, exactly, right? Like you got to do it. Like it's just like I hate getting scored on, right? Like it's not fun. So you might as well try your best. And a funny story, actually, like this past year, I don't know what I was doing. Somehow on my back, and my hand was under me, and my glove came off, and I was like, I didn't know what to do, so I kept playing. And I was like, I don't know, like if I should try and save it with my hand. And then this guy ends up shooting it actually, and I caught it with my bare hand, and it was like the coolest moment of my life. Like when I handed the puck to the ref, I was like, yeah, this is my bare hand. Like I can't believe it.
I imagine how that guy felt afterwards. Like, like that big of a glove, it's off, and it's just a bare hand, and he shoots it right at it.
Honestly, yeah, and that was one of our 3 wins in the year too. So we probably felt extra bad after the game.
So yeah, how many wins did you guys finish off this year with?
Oh God, it's funny because I think we finished with 4 this year out of 30 some. And then last year we finished with 7. So last year we actually had a few more wins, which was so weird because we all thought that we were so much better this year. And in preseason games, we all felt like our speed was so much better, our skill. And then it just, I don't know, it never clicked.
It's just kind of like how the cookie crumbles of hockey, right? It's just, you feel like you have all the pieces, but if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out, right?
Oh, 100%. And there were so many times, like I was talking about the Coldell game, losing 3-1. There were so many games that would have been huge for our confidence and would have been, so instrumental in our success moving forward. But it's just, we couldn't pull out those wins. So it just spiraled down,
Yeah. No, I definitely can understand that. I think if anyone who's been involved in the game for many years, every person's been on teams like that. I can think of more teams like that than teams I was on that were winning teams.
Oh, I think of one winning team maybe.
It's funny though, but
it's a whole different story.
Yeah. So diving back into when you were playing growing up of hockey, so you got to play for Simons Valley and you played for the Calgary Express. What was that like?
So the Calgary Express was really cool because my dad actually created it, and he put it all together, and we got just pretty much all my friends from Simons Valley, McKnight, kind of all the surrounding areas, and then of course we had tons of tryouts to get guys from Crowchild, places we haven't been around. And yeah, it was really cool. We ran it for, I don't know, 4 years or so, but we got to go to Las Vegas, which was amazing.
Oh, wow.
We went to, I have a very fond memory of going to Toronto. In the dressing room, I bought a new stick at the rink store, and then my friend was flexing it before the game. He broke it. Just absolutely devastated. And then it was that exact same game that we lost 15-0, and I had 100 shots against. It was just the worst day of my life. I remember we were shaking hands. I'm sweating bullets, barely can raise my hand, and I get to the end of the line, and the coach was like, "Yeah, man, you had 100 shots. Good job." I was like, "Man, I don't care. I need a nap." But it was really good. We had, we got to travel lots. We played, got to play great teams. Simons Valley was a lot of fun too. I've a lot of fond memories there. My claim to shame, or I don't know, my glory days, as I call it. Pee Wee 1, I think that was the peak of my career. Kind of been downhill since. But Pee Wee 1 was a pretty good time. A lot of our guys that played on our team, they went on to play Junior A, WHL, university. And we were just a really solid team, so that was a great experience. Unfortunately, I ended up in junior B. I missed the memo, but no, it's so many good years, and I honestly cannot imagine my life without growing up playing hockey. Right, like it's my friends, my pretty much family, really, because we've spent so much time together. It's just all come from hockey, so just blessed for every minute of it, really.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything you said there. My peak would probably been playing travel, and my second year of midget playing travel. I was consistent. Because I got called up to tier 1, but the goalie for tier 1 was like, "You're the backup tonight. There's no way I'm letting you go in the net. I'll play injured." So that was like the highest part I got to make. But I agree, like, minus me not playing junior and all that, the family stuff I got to experience. Like, my mom was a manager for many years, and she always made sure we had like tournaments around Christmas time in Calgary area because all the family would just come and watch us play. Like we were watching World Juniors and we were playing hockey. Like, it would just be nothing but hockey. But those are the memories I always will have with me forever. Like, having my grandpa there and everyone else just, to cheer you on. It's more than just like the high levels at times when you just had that like close connections of family. It was awesome, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I don't really think it's all about like playing quadrant necessarily and playing whatever level. Like it's like at every level you have like such a good group of guys. And I remember because growing up, like I played, I'm not trying to like sound cocky, but like I played like a lot of like tier 1. And then when I went to my first year Bantam, I got cut from quadrant, and then I made Bantam 3. Like I got bumped down just because of like all the older guys, all the returning guys. And at first I was like devastated that I was on Bantam 3, but like it literally ended up being like probably the best year of hockey I've ever had, just because of the friendships, right? Like it's so much more than the game, really.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me in Bantam. I was devastated. I got cut from travel, had to stick around with the city, but I had so much fun in my 2 years in Bantam.
Mm.
Like the people I got to meet, we got to go on some really fun tournaments still, and we were such a good team that we were able to go into tournaments like that were like travel tournaments, I remember, and like able to like win these and all that. So we just knew that at the end of the day we were a good team. We just weren't able to, I guess, get the spotlight out of it, right? But
Yeah.
it didn't matter to us because we just, got to have so much fun, right? Like, it was. I'll never forget my 2 years in Bantam. Those are definitely my favorite years.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it's like even outside of quadrant, like there's still really good hockey, right? There's guys who like don't even want to try out for quadrant, so they just play like community or whatever. So like you're still playing good hockey, so it's still all overall it's still fun, right?
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. So with the scene, so if you're not gonna, we'll jump into. So we talked about your junior career. Actually, we'll mention this. So, little fun fact about Brady: even though he played on one of the worst teams in the league, he was still managed to have a .901 save percentage. And folks, that's also with like the hundreds of shots he faced this year. So that's very impressive on you. Good on you for that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I have no idea how. I really don't. Like I I don't know. It just with so many shots. Maybe that's why I was lucky enough. Maybe they're just padding my stats. But no, it was exhausting, but all worth it.
Yeah. How were those bus rides after some of those away games? Were you just like crashed out right after, or like were you awake because you just faced 70 shots and
So I don't know. There's like I don't know. There's like different stages, different varieties. Some days, like though, I mean, well, the rare time we win, and I mean rare time. Like the boys are buzzing, like we're all pumped. We're having a couple drinks, we're having a great time. But yeah, like the games where I get pumped with shots, it's like I would love to talk to my friends, but I feel like my body's gonna break down. So I think I just need a nap. But like there was so much fun, and the some of them were way, way too long, and you can only play cards for so long, right?
Yeah.
Because we would just play the same game over and over again, and it was like, next thing you know, we like still have 2 hours left, and no one wants to play cards, and everyone just wants to be in bed, and it's like 1 a.m. But it was such a good bonding experience, and besides the time, traveling, it was amazing. The only problem is, it was a little bit of an inconvenience with school. We could still do work on the bus, but obviously with the boys, they're a little distracting. But like we would spend full days on buses and playing hockey, right? Like there's a couple days where we would catch the bus at like probably 1 p.m. and then we'd come back at, 2 a.m. So it's our whole day is kind of dedicated to that, but overall amazing.
Yeah, that brings back a lot of memories as well from bus rides, getting in at 2 a.m. and stuff like that. It's such a grind, but it's so much fun, like, at the same time. So you guys would have to go out towards, like, Red Deer. So you're in, like, Lomond. So, like, how long of a travel is it for you guys to go out to, like, Red Deer and all that?
So we play. So, well, funny story. We actually don't play in Lomond because they were tearing down the rink and making a new one. And they didn't actually have it in time for us to play in Lomond. So I've played for Lomond for 2 years. I've never actually been there. So we played out of Claresholm, actually.
Okay.
Claresholm, a little bit of Vulcan too, and Bassano, but mostly Claresholm, which is kind of halfway from Lethbridge to Calgary. And then the bus would actually come pick us up in Lethbridge just because so many of our team was from there. But yeah, bus rides would be anywhere from like 3 hours to like 5 hours, 6 hours maybe, like at max. Yeah. But it was, like some of them would just be so long. I remember we drove to Rocky Mountain House last year, and the bus ride was so long, and we left a little bit too late that we got there. I think we got in our dressing room 10 minutes before the game started. So it's just we went from sitting on a bus like crammed to like just getting right in there. So there were some disadvantages for sure with those long bus rides, but it was okay.
Just some bad planning on some ends there, hey?
Yeah, so I think someone was late that day. I don't know.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, well, at least, like, I'm kind of jealous, like, of, like, how you guys got to do that whole junior career, because it seems like it was, like, a lot of fun, right? Like, regardless, like, what level you played, like, you still got to go out there and, like, experience and all that, so, and you got to see, like, all the weird towns of Alberta, like Vulcan, Bassano, and all that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, my only regret, honestly, is not trying out earlier. Like, I was just figuring out university, so like it really made sense to me not to try out, but I did really enjoy it, and it was really tough at times. It definitely was, just because playing on a team that we weren't very successful. It was physically draining because I was exhausted from all the shots, but like it was super mentally draining, especially with school going on. But just the people that I was surrounded with on the team, although we weren't successful, from the top manager, owner, all the way down to the bottom, like all the teammates, like it's the people that I surrounded myself with were, amazing and kind of helped me through that. So 100%, it was all worth it.
So yeah, definitely. That's pretty exciting about like all your junior stuff. But so if you are able to play the senior men's, are you only looking at Ranchland, or are you looking at maybe, because I know there's like a Northern Alberta League as well?
So just because of my situation, like with schooling right now, Ranchland is the only thing I've kind of been looking at. Also, mainly just because people have been contacting me from there and asking me to play. So I don't know. It's all kind of just deciding if I want to play in that league, and I know it'd be fun. And half the time I don't want to play, and then the other half it's like I miss hockey so much, and I don't know if intramurals once a week is going to be good enough, but I don't know. I still have a lot of deciding, and I don't even know what's going to happen with COVID, like if the leagues are can it open? Or
Oh, I
I don't
know.
know. There's a lot to see. So
I really hope that hockey's able to come back, just because I'm like very involved in the Calgary hockey community with like work and all that. And
mhm.
I was working for a hockey academy this past like winter, and then I was supposed to be doing some summer stuff, but good old
Yeah, exactly.
good old COVID.
Yeah. So what did I see about you coaching? You were coaching the Royals.
I was the manager for them this year, the Bantam AA team.
That's awesome. How was that?
It was actually, so it was a lot of fun, and so I always had like a lot of regret personally, like not going and like playing junior hockey. So I just never
Mhm,
like thought I was like capable of it. I was always down on
mhm,
myself, but when I was able to start, like, I really wanted to still be involved with hockey, and I want to make like a career out of it if I'm able to. So
mhm.
I reached out to the Royals like it would have been last September, and they immediately just tossed me in. They're like, yeah, like you're gonna be the manager for this team this year. We got to get 2 tournaments going, all this stuff. And I was like, oh boy, like what did I jump into? But it was so much fun. I got to like build such a good relationship with all those boys on the team. You know,
Mhm,
I didn't realize how much like 13 and 14-year-olds like were aid and all that, but being a
mhm.
manager and like organizing like all their food, their like schedule and everything like that. It was a lot of work, but it was so rewarding. Like we got to take them out to Medicine Hat for a tournament, and they got to go practice with the Medicine Hat Tigers and go to their dressing room. And because a lot of these kids have the potential of playing like midget AAA within
Mhm.
the following year, so they might very well end up in the WHL for all I know. So seeing these guys at this young age, it was like fun to watch them, get excited with everything and all that. And we just had such a good group and a great coaching staff that
Mhm.
it didn't make me like miss like not playing like competitively myself anymore, because I was
Mhm.
able to like manage a team that was competitive, and it gave me that drive again. And I still had like my beer league to play to make up for it. So I'm really happy that I made like that choice of just, still being involved with it, but not personally like trying to play it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's such a cool like learning experience, and like if you want to further your career in some type of hockey, like that's such a good thing to have on the resume, right? So it's are you planning to do that next year again?
Yeah, so I got in contact with one of the teams. They said for the meantime, I'm like not able to talk about it publicly yet. Just I have to
Mm-hmm.
wait and see for everything. But
Mm-hmm.
because I got manager of the year for the Royals, so
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's so sweet.
my first year managing, and I got manager of the year. Like the organization treats me so well, so I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
forward to like, well, if COVID lets us, but I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to September and like being back out to the rinks and like helping out with that, because I'm gonna be working with like a higher level, we'll put it, and it's gonna be more challenging for myself, but I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what it all brings.
Yeah. Well, congrats. That's so cool. That's really awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like it was a big like adjustment for myself, but I'm so glad I did it, because now I'm just like, they always said you'll want to get involved community wise, and now that I've like done that, I'm like, that's all I want to keep doing now. It's just getting involved some way
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah. Exactly. And now that you're like you kind of like went out of your comfort zone a little bit, and now that you have like that confidence, and now you can just run with it, right?
Exactly. So, are you still
Wow.
working at pro hockey during this time, or what's going on?
So I'm not actually. So I actually worked for a source for sports in Lethbridge this past school year. Um, I usually come back every summer, work a pro hockey life. It's nice to see all the pads all day.
Yep,
But
I miss
I
that.
thought, yeah, I thought that this year, since I'm getting so close to graduation, it'd be better to find a job that's like more catered towards like teaching and working with kids. So I was actually planning on working from July to August at a summer camp at the University of Calgary. So I have no idea if it's going to get canceled, but I'm just kind of waiting and seeing right now. So it'll be a good change of pace from the usual summers of tie-in skates and sizing up goalie pads.
Yeah, definitely. And if I'm not mistaken, hopefully you will be able to get in because what I believe they said phase 1 they're going to still have some summer camps open. So hopefully you're in luck with that. I hope the best for you with that.
Yeah, thank you. What I'm thinking is maybe they'll have it, but with just way less kids and obviously just like a lot of precautions,
a lot of restrictions and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just kind of waiting on that, kind of waiting to see what happens. But till then, I'm just sitting on my butt playing Call of Duty.
How is that? I personally haven't been able to like play that because I'm intimidated now because too many people have had time to play that game.
Yeah.
It looks insane. And B, I'm just super busy with like, trying to run this podcast and work. And I'm taking one spring class right now too. So I'm just
it's good. It's it's so frustrating.
It looks like it.
Yeah, but like the fact that it's so frustrating, like makes it so amazing when you win. It's like you grind, and then when it pays off, it's amazing. And especially because I play with all my friends, all my roommates, that it's just like we just get so excited and we just get so hyped. So it's honestly a really good time. I honestly feel like I'd rather be maybe doing something else, like more productive, like you. But it's a nice placeholder for now.
No, definitely. For the first bit there of quarantine, I was playing GTA quite a bit and all that, but it was crazy because like before like all this quarantine, I was like super busy. I was in Calgary pretty much every single day I was at a hockey rink pretty much every day just for work and whatever else and school. And then when all this stuff started happening and like you get told to like stay home at first, right? I was like, what do I do? Like,
yeah, seriously. Because it's like same kind of thing with me. Like I was doing a practicum, so I was teaching full time. So I went from waking up at 5:30 and going to bed at 9. I went from doing that to pretty much going to bed at 5 a.m. and then waking up at like 12. Like just a completely different sleep schedule.
I had to change my sleep schedule to get back into my work routine because we start at 7. And during quarantine, I'm like going to bed at like 3 or 4, right? And so this first week's been, a little difficult, but I'll adjust to it quickly.
Yeah, I've honestly been trying to wake up earlier because it's just I feel like a waste of skin when I wake up at like 12.
You do
like half the day.
I completely agree with that. It's this quarantine stuff's just weird with stuff like that, right? Because like you don't like I said, you just don't know what to do. But luckily with restrictions like coming up and like stuff's getting a little easier. You're allowed to be outside. I realized that made it like because I remember in March at first they're like you can't do anything like, and then when they're like okay you can like go outside and all that. That's what made it like easier, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It really like it gives you something to do, and like I find something as simple as a walk like so nice to just throw into the day. And if I don't go for a walk during the day, like I feel horrible. Like I don't know. I need something to do.
Oh, I completely agree with that. Well, it's thanks for coming onto the pod. It was great having you. We did a good segment actually. So
yeah, this was a blast. Honestly, thank you so much for having me. If you ever
we'll have to have you on
let me know.
But so thanks for coming on. Make sure everyone who's listening check out the stats that we mentioned for Brady because it's crazy.
Let's not check out the stats.
The .901 folks of that many shots is insane. Like you guys have to see it for yourself. Just having me say it doesn't like I said, man, kudos to you on that. I personally don't think I could do that. I would have broke way too many sticks.
Thank you so much. Just want to put a disclaimer: if you check out my stats, just don't look at the goals against. Okay.
Yeah, we don't need to measure that part. Look at the save percentage.
Yeah.
What's the first thing anyone looks at? It's the save percentage.
I hope so.
I hope so too, because then I'm SOL as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's great having you on, man. We'll have to have you on again, and best of luck with whatever happens with schooling and everything else.
Absolutely. You too. Enjoy work, and hopefully we can start playing hockey soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Hope you all really enjoyed that interview with Brady. Like I said, I felt like Brady and I were able to really just connect. That goalie bond, you have it. I swear to God, every goalie being able to relate to stuff. And if you're not personally a goalie, I hope you kind of got to see what it's like when we're talking and joking around and stuff like that. He was great to have on. Really, really glad I got to have him as my first goalie interview. So thank you again, Brady. I know you're listening, so definitely have to have you on the pod again. Talk about gear or some other stuff. But so as I was mentioning in the beginning of this, before I cut it over to Brady's interview, there's a talk of 8 to 9 hub cities, and then there's different articles coming out, and the floodgates I want to say kind of got open of this because there's also like rumor that they could do 2 cities, 2 hub cities, and 12 teams at each, which they said they'd be able to accommodate hotels, shuffling players, sanitizing everything down, everything like that. Bob McKenzie and Darren Dreger were able to tweet that out today. So, like I keep saying, Edmonton was one of the teams. Like as we talked about before, I think Edmonton would be great. They've had, I know the whole dollar conversion, as I mentioned in the beginning, but they really do have a lot of they have a brand new arena. It's huge. I haven't personally been to it, but I've had friends tell me it's huge. It's nice on the inside. Uh, they'll be able to accommodate hotels and everything else. So, as much as I like to poke fun at Edmonton all the time, I really hope Edmonton does get this. If not, then what can you do? We're just, excited. Hockey it's coming back, folks. I don't know when. I don't have a date. I wish I had a date, but it's coming back. I haven't been this happy about hockey in a while. Well, I have been doing this. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been a great wave of me, still being involved in the game without playing it or watching it. So, thank you all for listening to keep that part exciting for me. But I feel like we're getting so close that in July we'll be able to social distance on a patio if that's what you want, and maybe watch on the TV or at home. Regardless of the situation, I'm I think July is gonna be when they start. If this is gonna be a huge week here, folks, and make sure you're staying up on my social media because I'm gonna start getting more active on it. So when stuff starts coming out, I'm gonna be retweeting on it, retweeting, creating posts, sharing posts, whatever it may be. This is because this is something big right now. We're gaining a lot of traction, and I personally haven't read anything else new about the draft because I think this has been their main goal right now. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, please let me know or send me the article. But I think the main goal right now is just getting hockey back, and I think we're very close to that goal. There's still a lot of logistics to work out and everything else, but as I keep saying, light at the end of the tunnel. We might be watching some hockey, and it's just it's been a lot of good news, good stuff happening for hockey. So let's just hope it all keeps working out. Really looking forward to everything happening. Let's just hope nothing bad happens with spikes or anything like that, and no, nothing but positivity going forward. And as I mentioned before, nothing but safety for the players and the players' families. I just want to address that is a big concern of mine. I want hockey back, but if they are at too much of a risk or anything like that. If they, then you don't want to cross that boundary. But if there's been reports that a lot of players are ready to come back, and there's some that are skeptical. But I imagine, if you see 90% of your teams going, it's going to be hard to say no, I imagine. So let's all just take a breath. I'll take a breath. We're going to see what happens. I hope next week's episode has as much energy as this week's, because this is great. I'm so excited. I was so excited to turn on my microphone and talk about this with you guys. But that's going to wrap up this episode 9. I can't believe next week's episode 10 already. That's phenomenal. I've honestly, it's been a kind of a roller coaster of this whole thing. At first I wasn't getting lots of views, but I'm getting quite a bit of views. And you know what? I just realized that having, rather it's a little amount of people listen or a decent amount, I'm just having fun talking to this and, you know, expressing my hockey thoughts and everything else. So, but that, yeah, don't want to get too personal. This is an exciting episode, not a personal episode. So, thank you again for listening. Hope you, like I said, hope you enjoyed that Brady interview. That was great. Can't wait for next week's interview. It's kind of in the works right now. We'll see what all happens, but as always, it's going to be entertaining. So, thank you again for listening, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week.